starting up a business, there are a lot of things that you want to consider. And one of the crucial things is to where to start up the business or its location. Philippines is one of the countries where it's becoming a startup hub in Asia. And as an investor and entrepreneur, you would actually want to know what are the business policies and business agencies that would help you in putting up your business. The Department of Trade and Industry in the Philippines have created a lot of agencies that will aid the businesses in the country. And one of these agencies is the Philippine Economic Zone Authority, also known as PEZA. So what is PEZA? PEZA is a government agency that promotes investments, extends assistance, grants incentives, and facilitates the business operation of investors in export-oriented manufacturing and service facilities inside selected areas throughout the country proclaimed by the President of the Philippines as PEZA Special Economic Zone. It oversees and administers incentives to developers or operators and locators in world-class, ready-to-occupy, environment-friendly, and secure, competitively priced special economic zone. PEZA was enacted under Republic Act 7916, or the Special Economic Zone Act, and was approved by former Philippine President Fidel V. Ramos on February 29, 1995. As provided in this Act, the PEZA Board is composed of 13 members and is chaired by the Secretary of the Department of Trade and Industry, or also known as DTI. The Vice Chair of the Board is the Director General of PEZA, while the 9 undersecretaries representing 9 key government departments and agencies comprise the board members. This is to ensure efficient coordination between PEZA and their respective departments. These affiliated agencies are Department of Finance, Department of Labor and Employment, Department of Interior and Local Government, Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Department of Agriculture, Department of Public Works and Highways, Department of Science and Technology, Department of Energy, and the National Economic and Development Authority. In addition, one seat was given for each of these 2 vital sectors in PEZA, which are the labor sector and the business sector in economic zones. Since the inception in 1995, Leila de Lima was the Director General of PEZA from February 1995 to June 2016, before the position was given to the next Director General, Justo Porfirio Yosinko became the officer in charge from July to October 2016. Today, General Charito B. Plaza is the current Director General of PEZA, which started from October 2016 up to present. As mentioned before, the agency was created to aid the business industry in the Philippines. The agency has a mission which is to provide a globally competitive and ecological sustainable business environment to investors through effective management of economic zones, efficient administration of incentives, utmost delivery of services, focused investment promotions, and proactive developmental activities. They envisioned in the future that they will be the major player in providing a globally competitive and ecological sustainable business environment that will generate investments, exports, and employment for the country.
PEZA offers incentives to PEZA-registered businesses to encourage investors and entrepreneurs. The agency ensures that PEZA-registered facilities and areas will not only save on taxes and fees, but will also have secured permits and other registration requirements for a short span of time that will make doing business in the Philippines easier and smoother. There are 2 types of incentives offered by PEZA, the fiscal and the non-fiscal incentives. These incentives are made to help startup investors obtain the best return on their capital. Fiscal incentives exempt firms from paying taxes and other local fees or charges. Specifically, it grants 1. Income tax holiday for a certain number of years, which translates to 100% exemption from corporate income tax. 2. Tax and duty-free importation of raw materials, capital equipment, machineries, and spare parts. 3. Exemption from wharfage dues and export tax, imposts or fees. 4. Zero rating and local purchases subject to compliance with BIR and PEZA requirements. 5. exemption from payment of any and all local government imposts, fees, licenses, or taxes, and lastly, exemption from expanded withholding tax. While non-fiscal incentives provide services and assistance for firms' operation and entry into the market where, first, simplified import-export procedures, second, hiring of non-resident foreign nationals for supervisory, technical, or advisory positions, third, special non-immigrant visas with multiple entry privileges for non-resident foreign employees and their spouses and children below 21 years old. Lastly, visa facilitation assistance for foreign employees and their spouses and dependents. Startups in the Philippines, whether local or foreign, help keep the business landscape in the Philippines alive and progressing. With these PEZA benefits, the Philippines is indeed ideal for setting up your startup business and should get you going to add to the next batch of the country's valuable investors. Even though PEZA offers great deal of incentives, only selected enterprises and industries can be registered under PEZA as stated by the RA 7916. For the supported enterprises, this includes export manufacturing, IT service export, tourism, medical tourism, agro-industrial export manufacturing, agro-industrial biofuel manufacturing, logistics and warehouse services, eco-zone development or operation, facilities providers, and utilities. For the supported industries, this includes IT research and development, business process outsourcing, call centers, coke, refined petroleum and other fuel products, computer and related activities, construction, data encoding, transcribing and related service, electricity, gas, steam and hot water supply, food products and beverages, garments and textiles, health and social work, hotels and restaurants, postal and telecommunication services, private education services, real estate activities, and lastly, software development.
Here are some requirements in the processing of application for the registration of new EcoZone enterprises. Number 1. Completely filled out PEZA application form for EcoZone Export Enterprise. Second, notarized undertaking and anti-graft certificate. Third, notarized copy of board resolution authorizing the filing of application. Fourth, certificate of registration from the Securities and Exchange Commission. Fifth, resume and biodata of principal officers. Sixth, reservation form on building or area to be leased. Seventh, endorsement from the developer of the EcoZone. And number 8, company profile of parent company if applicable. Here's how to process your application for registration. Step 1. Submit application documents for pre-screening. Your documents will be reviewed and an order of payment will be issued. Step 2. Pay application fee of 3,600 pesos. Step 3. Submit completely filled out application form and other documents or information as may be required from PEZA. Your application will be evaluated and will be endorsed to the Director General for approval. This may take 10 working days to process, subject to submission of all required documents. Step 4. Receive copy of board resolution as prepared by the board secretary within 5 working days. Step 5. Submit pre-registration requirements as stated in the board resolution. This may take 5 working days to process. Standard pre-registration requirements include: Number 1, SEC registration of proponent company. Number 2, acceptance letter or reservation from the economic zone location of the proposed project. Number 3, copy of the application for environmental compliance certificate filed with the PEZA Environment Safety Group. Step 6. Pay registration fee of 6,000 pesos. And finally, Step 7. Sign registration agreement with PEZA. A certificate of registration will be issued to you.
So far, we've discussed about PEZA, its structure and functions, supported industries, incentives, and how an industry could apply for registration under this agency. Also, one of the obligations of PEZA is to facilitate business operations in so-called special economic zones or eco zones. So what are these eco zones and how do they function? All this and more will be discussed in the next part of our video, so stay tuned!